What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Celio's Network. Today we're going to be taking a look at an Empoleon V focused deck list from Japan and just talking about Empoleon and some of the rapid style cards in general from the new battle style set that will be coming out in North America on March 19th this year. Before we take a look at the deck list and the other cards, shout out to PotownStore.com, the best place for you to get PTCGO codes, and be sure to use code Celio for 5% off. So Empoleon V is a really cool card. I do think it could have definitely been better about the ability. Like, it could have been stronger. I do think it's a bit underpowered, but I'm still going to try to make it work because it's a card that I really like. So I don't think this deck is like the best deck or like absolutely insane. I don't think Emperor's Eyes shuts off a ton of important Pokemon at this very moment, but it's still a deck that I think is very cool, has potential, and that I'll be trying to make work myself. So Empoleon V is a basic Water V Pokemon with 210 HP, and the ability Emperor's Eyes, as long as this Pokemon is in the active, your opponent's basic Pokemon in play have no abilities, except for Pokemon with a rule box, and so that excludes Pokemon V, GX, etc. So it turns off things like Amazing Rare Jirachi, Stellar Wish Jirachi, Absol from Team Up, etc. So it does shut off some support Pokemon, but it doesn't shut off the Dene, Eldegoss, Crobat, Zacian, those kinds of things. And then the attack Swirling Slice for water and colorless, it does 130, and then you move an energy from this Pokemon to one of your bench Pokemon. So that's pretty solid. It should be good versus water weak Pokemon specifically, but it's a nice chunk of damage on turn 1 or turn 1 if you're using Welder, which, spoiler alert, this deck list is using Welder, or on turn 2. It's pretty easy to get off. So a couple other cards we'll be looking at in this deck is, well, Rapid Strike Energy is going to be pretty important because this provides a double energy for Rapid Strike Pokemon in any combination of water and fighting energy. So this can just count as water colorless pretty much for Empoleon, then you can move this to an Urshifu. Mustard Rapid Strike stance, if this is the last card in your hand, put a Rapid Strike Pokemon from your discard pile onto your bench, then draw 5. So this is pretty good, and this is also going to be featured in this deck. Tower of Waters, the retreat cost of each Rapid Strike Pokemon in play is colorless less. This will be featured in the deck. We got Rapid Strike Scroll, Whirlpool Scroll. So for fighting colorless, so basically attaching this to your Pokemon gives it this attack, and the attack is fighting colorless. This attack does 30 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon. So I think this is pretty decent, especially because Empoleon V shuts off Mew bench barrier, and it will shut off any bench barriers that come out in the future that are on non-rule box Pokemon. So you can put Empoleon V active and still spread 30 everywhere, even if your opponent has Mew down, which is really cool. Tool Jammer is featured in this deck list from Japan as well. I'm not sure about the utility of Tool Jammer right at the beginning of its release, but it seems like it'll have some niche uses. So it's a Pokemon tool that reads, as long as the Pokemon this card is attached to is in the active spot, Pokemon tool cards attached to your opponent's active have no effect. This is another card that I just think is so underpowered. They could have just made it like all of your opponent's Pokemon's tools have no effect, just in case like you want to affect some like HP enhancing tools on the bench or something to get knockouts. But they are playing one of this. Billowing Fan is another Rapid Strike card. Return a special energy attached to one of your opponent's Pokemon to the bottom of your opponent's deck. And then, of course, the Rapid Strike Urshifu. We've done entire videos on this on the channel, so if you haven't checked those out already, be sure to do so. But the first attack can swing for a max of 150 for 1 energy, and the G-Max Rapid Flow swings 120 to 2 things, and you have to discard all energy attached to Urshifu. So this is the deck list we'll be looking at from howhownews.com. It runs 4 Empoleon V, then a 2-2 line of Urshifu V Max, really focusing on starting with that Empoleon V. and you want that to kind of be like your first attacker a lot of the times, but it does run the mustard supporter, so if you get an optimal turn 1 hand going second, you can pull off a turn 1 Gale Strike, I believe. Gale Thrust, a turn 1 Gale Thrust. If you can mustard the VMAX Urshifu to the bench, attach energy, retreat, and there are so many retreating options. This deck plays 4 switch, 3 rope, and 4 switch, 2 rope, and 2 air balloon, as well as the 1 rapid strike stadium. So that's a combination of 9 different cards that help you retreat. So if you hit the mustard combo for Urshifu VMAX, I would have to imagine it's going to be pretty easy to actually get it out there to the active and attack. So this deck also runs Galarian Meowth, which, you know, it's there to search out Galarian Berserker, but this deck isn't playing Galarian Berserker. So all the Galarian Meowth provides for this deck is it allows you to discard 2 cards from your hand to search your deck for a Galarian Berserker, and this just helps you empty your hand if you need to empty it to use Mustard, because Mustard has to be the last card in your hand to use it. The Celebi allows you to search the top 6 cards of your deck for an energy card. So I think that kind of goes well with this deck, because some of the Rapid Strike decks are using Octillery to search out the Rapid Strike energy because it's so important. This deck is trying to utilize the Celebi to find that Rapid Strike energy. It's a little bit less commitment to just get the Celebi into the active and look at the top 6 cards. And like I mentioned, this deck is using Welder, which I thought was really interesting. And personally, I think with Welder in the deck, you just want to go for having a fire attacker in here to counter Zacian, Zamazenta, Luke Metal. So I would toss in a fire attacker, whether that be Heatran GX, because that's pretty easy to, you know, move around, get the energy onto it, pop a GX attack, maybe Reshizard. They are playing 6 fire energy, they're playing Giant Hearth as well, so it shouldn't be insanely hard to get the fire energy onto a fire Pokemon if you have time to against a Zacian, Zamazenta, Luke Metal deck, so I would definitely add something like that into here. Other than that, not much else to say. I think it's a cool concept that you want to start with your Empoleon V. This is actually a concept I talked about when these cards got revealed. That you want to start with your Empoleon V to lock your opponent's non-rule box abilities. And then worst case scenario is you keep blocking their abilities. Best case scenario is you get the turn 1 Mustard and you get to attack with Gale Thrust. And it works out well because Empoleon V only has 2 retreat costs, so it's easy to get out of there with Air Balloon and the Rapid Strike Stadium. But this deck went ahead and used Welder, which is definitely interesting. And like I said, I like that it opens up the possibility to play a fire type Pokemon to take advantage of the Luke Metal Z deck. So really surprised this doesn't just throw in a fire Pokemon, so I would definitely do that if I try out this deck, which I'm sure I will at some point. But yeah, this features a lot of new cards, a lot of cool ideas with the new cards, so definitely a deck that I thought was worth sharing with you all here on the channel. So that's all I have for you today. Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you have not already for daily Pokemon TCG content, and check out PotownStore.com using code CELIO for 5% off on all of your PTCGO needs. Thanks for watching, have a great day, and I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.